So to get to the 4 things that we are going to focus on in this presentation today, I wanted to start with the first, which is an area that I have been learning a lot about in this last year or so. We have started to partner with some great external partners, and I'm sure we'll partner with more, but I just wanted to highlight a few of them on what we've learned, and many of them are at DevLearn, actually. So first of all, there's some government research organizations. I know many of you have worked with the Advanced Distributed Learning group, and we've especially learned a lot from Jason Haig and Judy Brown, and continue to enjoy working with them in different ways. They continually make us aware of DoD initiatives. They are able to research in breadth and depth on the mobile solutions that are available out there. They're exposed to different corporations and organizations, which helps us a lot. We don't have a lot of time to go looking for that. It's been great, too, because we've partnered on some research projects. They taught us how to use jQuery mobile, talked about spaced learning, and telling us kind of some of the ways where we can save money, save time based upon others' mistakes. And they've really been helpful in driving our mobile-first strategy that they've informed us is taking place in a lot of organizations. On an individual level, it's helpful to have consultants. Now, we have a lot of contractors that support us day to day, but we need those consultants that are like the Judy Browns of the world and the Dr. Clark Quinns of the world that are looking at lots of different organizations and experiencing different strategies and approaches that others are using, so they can bring that to us, and they're not focused on selling us a particular product. So they connect us to other people and organizations as well, and we've had them review our DAU mobile strategy and give us feedback. I know Dr. Clark Quinn just reviewed ours and pointed out the strengths and weaknesses, and it really helped because one of the weaknesses we have is getting the user community involvement, and we're struggling to find ways to do that. But I think finding out that looked to be a weakness in our plan is helping us put more focus on that. And of course, we have an interagency mobile group, which anyone is invited to. You just email mobile@dau.mil. We just have we have a monthly call for 30 minutes, and we let 1 or 2 people talk on the agenda. They share what they're doing in their organization. They're sharing something that's coming out new to government. And so you can choose who you want to connect with on it. We're not trying to make it this really high administrative task. We just want people to be able to call in. If they're interested in connecting with the person who is speaking, they can. And we're finding out a lot of lessons learned. We're able to provide endorsements for each other's initiatives. I know we have a letter going out to one of the organizations that wanted our support as a result of our connecting on this call. We are also becoming a partner with our own government organizations like the JKO Mobile. We're starting to partner with them so that we can look to see about offering some of our current courseware through their mobile app. So some great connections are taking place with these external partners, and we need them. They're out and about, and we have so much to do within our organization that we sometimes don't keep that big picture in mind, and they're helping us do that. However, our internal partners are extremely important, so our leadership it is key to buying in to what we are doing. And so we are calling upon them to see the importance of mobile and be involved, and especially our mobile team, which actually is a grassroots effort with early adopters, some leadership, some faculty, and of course a lot of us from our Global Learning and Technology Center are involved in getting together and talking about mobile, trying to create standards, products, and also just general knowledge sharing. We have someone now that has It's App Appropriate session where she'll show people how to use their device and what apps are good for productivity. We also have another team member that's started Team Android, and whenever he finds something in the news or something that he finds valuable about Android, he sends it out to this email list, and it's exponentially started to grow over the last month alone. And so it's neat to see different people taking initiative and really forming that community that needs to happen in order to effectively implement mobile. Practices is our next topic, and this is kind of a broad topic. There's so many places to go with it, but just wanted to take a few minutes to share some of the things that we are learning about best practices. It might not work in your organization. We might find that we will continually change those in ours, but they are helping us determine our next move on some of the areas that we're working. Just a few I wanted to talk about today are the importance of engaging leadership, informing and engaging and preparing instructional designers to lead the conversations, and infusing a mobile-first mindset into key stakeholders. So first off, leadership interest. We have been inviting the different deans and directors at Defense Acquisition University to our monthly mobile meetings for over a year. And this past couple weeks, we had one of our meetings, and one of the leadership deans that had never come to a meeting came, and he actively participated. And the reason why is he had just purchased an iPad to take on a trip where he's going with his granddaughter across the country. And he was amazed by the experience because it kept her occupied. She did all these things he didn't know how she knew how to do. And he just started to see the true potential of being able to have the different opportunities to learn and perform at your fingertips. So we're realizing there is this process that must take place. And first, they have to have a personal experience, we are finding. And that's not just leadership, it's everybody. But it's really important with leadership because they're the ones that get to call the shots for the budget and the cultural support and that kind of thing. Secondly, become interested in possibilities. Once they have that experience, they start thinking through the different possibilities and they start applying it to the job. And what we're finding is then they start to support what we are doing. But the great shift that takes place is once they start to support what we're doing, then they start to support you by doing. And that's a different shift. Yes, they're supporting what we're doing, but then they start taking action. So the person I was just talking about actually went back and said, hey, I think as a result of what you're doing and the importance of it, I'm going to help you set up meetings with all these different governing bodies for the different functional areas we have, like logistics, systems engineering, contracting, program management. Those governing bodies exist outside of the organization. So he's going to help us get on the agendas of all of those quarterly meetings so that we can start infusing this into their mindset. It's a great story about just to see how that change took place, and especially since it didn't start at work. It started elsewhere where he saw a change happen with his granddaughter. The second point is to make sure the learning team understands. I know this is a big shift as well. People assume that instructional designers know how to do this, know how to do different design, know how to create different learning experiences now with the way that the landscape's changing, and they don't. They do know how to ask all the right types of questions that are typical in the learning arena. One thing I wanted to point out, and this was great because I was actually reading Clark Quinn's book while I was waiting for my car inspection. I was reading it on the iPad, and I came across this great paragraph where he said, should it be the learning unit within the organization that takes on the role of designing mobile performance? And the answer is yes. Because this is the group that understands how individuals perform and how they perform in areas of uncertainty, which are collaboration, innovation, and so on. So they should be the driver in meeting the needs. So yes, there's all these technology issues and business goals, but the learning unit is going to have to be the one that partners effectively with everyone in the organization. And I think that's something that's important to remember. So we do need to have instructional designers trained. So what we had done is started taking our typical list of analysis factors and adding some mobile to it, where we talk about the overall goal, the target audience, the context, the content type, the stability, the tracking requirements, but no one was using this document. So what we're hoping to do, we have a new mobile intake worksheet we've designed. In fact, the goal is to start out having this as a mobile intake worksheet, but pretty soon we want to take the mobile off, right? Because this is just something. Mobile should just become another part of one of those upfront determining factors on what the solution should be. This sheet breaks it down, and there's little tips provided along the way to assist the conversation. And the ISD and the knowledge project officers in our environment are the ones that would instigate this conversation. with the different faculty members and anyone starting to on a project where they're trying to fill a gap. And so we're hoping that breaking this down into this worksheet format will help. And it's part of that cultural change as well, to help everyone see and think through the different reasons why you would offer something a certain way, especially related to a learning product in this case. The other part of the key practices we're implementing is realizing there are two layers here, right? There's the mental shift of the individual and there's a cultural shift of the organization. And they're all kind of intertwined, but we have to have our CIO on board, our leaders, our webmaster. Our webmaster's great. They realized when they were working on our portal with us, they had an aha one day that, wow, we should be creating things for mobile first, and then if we need to add more for the desktop version, we can. And that was the day we realized they understood that this was here to stay. This is now the way we access our information and learning, and that they needed to shift now. It's going to take a little longer to get the infrastructure in place for us, but going through this mental shift and cultural shift and getting to think mobile first is something that we see starting to happen. It's taken a lot longer than we initially thought, but we think that these three areas with the leadership, with the ISDs, and with helping promote that mobile first will keep us moving forward.